welcome in, and welcome to the Finns Talk Sports Network's brand new show. Well, not brand new, but brand new to this network, Touchdown in Paradise, the number one podcast based in the South Bay, California, and no longer Nashville, Tennessee, but Southwest Florida. Welcome in. My name is Justin.
I'm Pete.
I'm Russ.
And I'm Joe.
And you are looking live here at Tower 12 from me. Cheers to another football season, boys.
Let's get it.
Let's go.
Cheers.
So stoked.
It's been a long spring and a long summer, but fall is just around the corner. I'm going to miss the summer weather, but I am so much more excited to be out there at the bars or in the stadium watching the game live in person or on TV. Oh, wow, but we have had quite a bit of off-season news here, starting with realignment, starting with Colorado, who broke this news. Denver, Colorado, Boulder out of the Pac-12, which then started a domino effect of a whole lot more. We had Dion getting hired. That was the big news of the end of the season last year, but now we've got Colorado moving back to the Big 12 next year. And not only that, that started a domino effect of Oregon and Washington officially bolting from the Big Ten. And then we have the four corner schools, the rest of them, Utah, Arizona, and Arizona State, also joining the Big 12. Russ, I want to start with you on this because you are an Arizona fan. When you heard this news, what were you thinking?
I mean, I'm kind of sad to see the Pac-12 go. So, I'm a Pac-10 guy. I love the Pac-12. I kind of, just watching the Pac-12 network last year with my brother, and he was just, watching. They don't have commercials, and he literally said, "This is the end of the Pac-12. That's how you make money." So I agree with them. Once you saw that, they don't have commercials on there. It's just a Pac-12. Thing going over the screen. I'm like, this is the downfall of the Pac-12. So I'm sad to see it go, but this is just the way college football is moving now.
Pete, as far as realignment goes, how do you feel that these schools are going to compete in their new conference? Is it going to be right away? Is it going to be a couple years down the line? What are your thoughts?
I think it's going to be right away. I think they're going to work the schedules out so that they try to get work around the weather. Everyone keeps thinking, it's going to be like, USC playing in Michigan in December or something. I think they'll try to work those games around it. Notre Dame has played a lot of these schools out west, Stanford, USC, and they always work the schedule around it, usually to where Notre Dame comes out when the weather is good out here, and they never have these schools really go back there to play in bad weather. So I think they'll figure that out. I think, it's definitely sad, because I loved watching Pac-12 after dark, and it actually has come true. The lights are out, like they are done. We're going to talk more about where some of the schools that remain are going to go, but I think this is going to be great, man. Everything is dollars based, NIL. You got to be able to pay these kids. You got to go where the biggest bucks are. So I'm excited. College football hasn't been shaken up like this in my entire life. So I'm all for it, and we'll still get to watch all these great schools. If anything, they're going to be playing new teams, new games, new rivalries. It's going to be exciting. I'm pretty jacked up for it.
I mean, personally for me, it's kind of sad. I think this year is the most competitive the Pac-12 is going to be in a long time. Oregon, Washington, USC. It's Utah. So Pac-12 is going to be competitive, and it's going out. Maybe go out with a bang.
I'm gonna quote Notre Dame AD here. It's an utter disaster, in my opinion. It's just a free for all. It's all about the money, and I mean, in some ways, I get it. You got to pay the athletes. You have to, they're putting their bodies on the line every weekend. But then on the other hand, you're going to lose rivalries now. You're going to. It's basically who's throwing the biggest cash bag at these schools. So it'll be interesting, but it's definitely a interesting time in college football.
And Joe, first off, I want to welcome you to the show. Last year we had initially planned to have you on, but things didn't work out timing-wise. We're so glad to have you here. Welcome in, Joe, to the show.
Thank you. You know, when you're a
Let's
golf
go,
coach,
Joe.
you know, things take priorities, but I'm here now.
Mm-hmm. And Pete and I went golfing last week, didn't we?
Yeah,
No big deal. Shot a 90 in Arizona. No big deal.
Well, you finally have a driver. Congratulations.
Joe, I could have used some of your tips because I didn't do too hot.
I don't know if I'm the tip guy. I just coach, you know, I just kind of say, hey, just hit it straight and you'll be good. But, you know, other than that, you know, have fun, throw back some beers. That's what golf's all about, really.
I mean, what else does a coach do?
You know it. Exactly. You know, just tell them to hit it straight and don't mess up.
Yeah, shout out to Talking Stick Resort. We had some fun this weekend. Wish you all could have been with us.
It looked like a blast. I'm jealous, but, you know, you guys represented it as always.
That's right. Moving right along here. We also got some news out of Ann Arbor that Mr. Jim Harbaugh is going to be self-imposed suspended for 3 games to start the season. And the teams that he's going to miss that they're facing are East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green. He'll return for their Big Ten opener against Rutgers. So, Joe, we'll start with you this time. Is this enough for Harbaugh? Is this too much? Where do you stand?
Honestly, it's kind of a joke. It's just like, you know, Michigan, Harbaugh just saying, hey, just a little slap on the wrist. We're going to miss the 3 easiest games in our schedule. So, you know, that's a typical Harbaugh Michigan move, in my opinion. But, hey, you know, at least they did something. So, you know, what are you going to do?
Steve, let's jump to you. What are your thoughts around Jim Harbaugh here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's smart. I mean, you're gonna get you know, self-imposed. You're gonna be like, oh, I really can't be with the team these first 3 weeks. You know, it's some tough matchups. Yeah, bull crap. You know, he's missing 3 easy games. It's smart by him to do it, get ahead of it. You know, usually when you self-impose, just like if anything happens in relationships or anything, if you come forward first and say, oh, it was my fault, let me just go ahead and do this, you can usually sweep it under the rug. So I think that's exactly what he's doing. And to be honest, it's smart. You can't really blame him for it. So unless something else comes out about it and they try to do something to him, like the NCAA or something, I think this is going to, you know, easily. And he's going to miss the games, right? But he's still going to be like coaching through his coaches. You know, it's not like he's not going to be there doing stuff, you know. So, but smart on him. Good job.
He'll be calling from the box.
Okay, fourth down over here on the phone. 4th down. We're going to go for the Wildcat. Come on.
Hand it off to Edwards.
No, I'm kidding. What Jim Harbaugh is actually going to do is he's going to get cute. He's going to throw 3 lateral passes and then take a sack on 4th down.
And yeah, it's self-imposed. He's missing 3 games, but he can still coach during practice during the week. So, yeah, he's going to miss the game, but this guy's got well-qualified assistants to take over. Those are 3 cupcake games for Michigan.
What is not a cupcake on Michigan's schedule this year other than Ohio State and Penn State? Let's be honest here.
Valid point. I mean,
it's stronger in Georgia's schedule.
That too, yeah. Fair enough. We're going to get to that later in the show, seeing who makes the playoff in the end, because those two seem to have an inside track. But now it's time for the pick parlay. PD Parlay is back, right?
PD Parlay never left. I've been locked in this off season. I've been losing at other sports, but you know me, guys. I'm locked in on the NCAA. I am the parlay master. Not gambling advice, but why not roll with us and have a good time? You know, so let's get to these picks because you know, week 0 is always great. You don't have a ton of games, but you can really lock in on these ones. You know.
Yeah, it's like the NFL preseason. You watch week 0. Some of the teams, they're playing a meaningless game, but it's still your little warm intro back into the college football season. And that's why I do like week 0. And Pete, you brought up a good point here. We are not here to give gambling advice. We are not endorsing gambling anyways. Please do your own research and check your state's local laws before doing anything. That being said, let's jump right into it here.
Let's go.
UTEP at Jacksonville State. We have the spread of UTEP -1, the over-under 54. UTEP -115 money line. JSU also -105. For those of you who are new here, here's how the parlay works. We're all going to go around here, and we're going to pick at least one thing to bet on each game. And then we're going to keep score. This year we're going to keep score. The winner is going to get a nice little prize at the end of the season with the most correct picks. With that being said, Russ, go for it.
All right, so big UTEP guy, really follow us on. I'm taking UTEP to cover, and I'm just going to take UTEP money line.
Okay, Russ with the UTEP money line. That is minus 115.
And then I'm going to take the cover too. So I think they're gonna win by 3.
All right, so we got the cover and we've got the money line for UTEP. Let's go to Joe.
Oh man, I definitely am going to take the over on this one. UTEP at Jacksonville. Jacksonville State. Who knows what they're going to be? And I'm also going to take UTEP with the spread. I think UTEP 3 points as well. But I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
And Pete, round us out here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Jacksonville State money line in a game where both teams are favored, at negative money. I'm going to take Jacksonville State to win outright, and I think it's going to be a convincing win for them.
And I will echo that. Jacksonville State is a new team to the FBS, but they were a feisty team at the FCS level. They nearly upset Auburn a couple years ago. A couple years ago, too, they also defeated Florida State on the road. So I'm going to go with, let's make a big bang here in the beginning of our FBS era. I'll take Jacksonville State outright, and I'll bet against the spread, +1. And as we move along down here, we have the Ohio, not Ohio State, the Ohio State. San Diego State's got a -2.5 spread here. We have the over-under at 49. San Diego State -145 is the money line. Ohio +120. Let's go reverse now. Let's start with Pete.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take San Diego State here. They're going to blow the doors off of them. Ohio's traveling across the country. They're going to be too focused on the girls, the beach, all these other things. It's August out here. It's hot. I think San Diego State is locked in. No surfing this week for the boys, but they're surfing to a win.
And we'll surf on over to Joe for his thoughts.
Yeah, I'm with Pete here. I'm taking San Diego. I think before the Pac-12 was going to accept them. So who knows where San Diego's going, but I think this is where they make a statement and say who's gonna give us the biggest money. So I'm taking San Diego with the spread, and I'll take the under as well. I think San Diego is going to shut them down defensively as well.
Okay. Now, Russ, are you going to be as bold as Pete and Joe here and go against them?
Well, we're not surfing over to me because I live in the Gulf of Mexico, so there's no waves over here. So, I'm sticking San Diego State. I'm taking the 2.5. They're going to cover. It's early in the season. These boys are ready to go. Later in the season, they might be a little worn out because they party a little too hard in San Diego State. But, I think they're going to win this pretty handily. So, pretty confident about that pick.
Last year, San Diego State opened Snapdragon Stadium with the worst heat wave probably in San Diego history. I don't know if you guys remember this, but people were passing out. There was no water to go around. That's not how you want to start off a new era. So in lieu of that, they're going to make up for this with a big win over Ohio. I'll take the money line here with San Diego State. Now coming up here, UMass at New Mexico State. Both teams have had a pretty rough go-around the last decade or so in the football respect. But New Mexico State is actually favored in this game with a -7.5 spread. The over-under is 45. And the money line here is -325 New Mexico State. And then we have UMass +260. Joe, we'll start with you this time.
I don't really know a whole lot about these two teams. I'll be completely honest. I mean, I know both of them historically aren't very good. They may have their blips once in a while. So I think I was just going to stay away from this one. If I'm going to bet, I'm going to take the over.
Smart betting. All right, Russ.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Aggies on this one, New Mexico State. I'm just going to take them straight money line. The only way I see the Minutemen winning there over at UMass is if Victor Cruz shows up, and I don't think he's playing football anymore. So We'll just go with the Aggies.
Mm-hmm. Victor Cruz was a fun man to watch. Pete.
Unlike the Ohio game where I said the team going west is going to lose, I'm going to take UMass. There's not much to do in New Mexico, so I think they're going to be locked in. They're going to get off the flight. They're going to come out. They're going to be ready to roll. They're going to beat the crap out of them and get on the plane and get out of there. So I'm taking UMass to handily win and to definitely cover the 7.5 points. The over-under, I don't know. It's pretty low, so I think it would be over, but it also could be a trap. So I think I'm just going to stay away from that and go UMass to cover the 7.5 and potentially sprinkle a little money line juice on there,
Okay, we're all pretty conservative here, and fair enough. These two teams, it's really hard to predict when these programs have not been anywhere near where other programs have been the last decade. But with that being said, for me, I think New Mexico State is on a slightly better track right now than UMass is. UMass has fallen really hard in recent years. So I'll take the Aggies in this one, and I'll go the spread here, cover the 7.5. And now coming up here, we have, now things get a little bit more interesting. FIU at Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech is an 11-point favorite, minus 11 here. The over-under is 58.5. The money line here is La Tech minus 410 and FIU plus 320. Russ, you're the Florida man here, so let's hear from you.
I'm gonna have to go with. I'll just go straight money line. We'll go Louisiana Tech. I don't know FIU's. I don't know enough about either of the program. La Tech has been decent in the past, so I'll go with them.
Okay, let's make our rounds, Pete.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to take the over at 58.5. I'm a little tempted. It might be too high, but if I have a chance and I'm going to buy some points, I'd probably maybe buy it like 1.5 or 2 points down to get it down to like 56. But I think I'm going to take the over. I think there'd be a lot of scoring. So over is my pick.
All right, and Joe.
Yeah, this is a similar game as the UMass New Mexico game. I know La Tech recently has been pretty decent, so I think I'm just going to play conservatively again, take the money line, La Tech.
I will bet on the over-under going over here, but I would not be surprised if this is a push because these two teams, in recent years, they've had their ups and downs, but historically, I think La Tech has been the better program. They've produced better players. Terry Bradshaw, and yeah, that's all I'll say there. Going down the list here. Now, last year, this was probably the only game that Vanderbilt was favored in. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. But they are hosting Hawaii. Vandy is a 17-point favorite. When's the last time you heard that? Over-under is 55.5. Vandy's a minus 950 money line favorite with Hawaii coming in at plus 625. I'll start here and I'll say, wow, Vandy. I guess they're on their way up, huh? You're going to make them that big of a favorite here. You have Hawaii coming all the way over here, which is never a recipe for success. Last year was Vandy making the trip out there, and they did just fine. But I will say, with their stadium under construction, I hear they're going to play at a local high school this season, which will be very interesting. I'll go with Vandy, but I'm not willing to take that spread there because that seems a little high for this, especially being in the high school stadium, not their home. So I'll take Vandy with the money line, and I'll go against the spread. I'll buy it down maybe like 3 points. Let's hear from Pete.
Yeah, Colt Brennan, RIP, is not walking through those doors. So I think Hawaii definitely loses here. I'm taking Vanderbilt. I'm going to take them to cover. And then I'm also going to take I had on here the over. It's 55.5. Hawaii's not going to win, but usually they put up some points even in a loss. So I think I'm going to go over and then Vanderbilt to cover. It's a lot of points, but they are an SEC school, right? So you should handle this, right?
It just means more. It just means more. Unless you're Vanderbilt. Joe.
This one was potentially my surprise game of the week. With what's going on in Maui, does Hawaii come out fired up trying to win for Hawaii? I don't know. That's a long trip, though. And, shout out to Clark Lee, Vanderbilt head coach, former Notre Dame DC. I think he's turning Vanderbilt around for, what it is in the SEC. It's a tough one. I'm going to go against the spread. I'm going to bet on Hawaii with the 17 points, but I am going to take the money line on Vandy to win. So, I kind of, keep playing it safe again. I'm thinking they're going to keep it close, but I ultimately think Vanderbilt will win.
Joe, you brought up something really important. We do shout out to all the people who lost their lives out in Maui with the fires. It's just an absolute tragedy what's happened in Lahaina. We send our prayers out to all the people who are out there who have lost everything and those who are out there helping and rebuilding. Our love to you from California to Florida, all the way to Hawaii. Russ, take us up on the tail end here.
All right, so I'm betting big on this. I got Vandy covering. I got the over. I got the Vandy money line. Doesn't matter, whatever you want to spread it. Vandy went out there last year, and I want to say it was 63-17. So I'm betting big on Vandy this week. They had some pretty good quality wins. I think they beat Kentucky and Florida at the end of the year until Tennessee did shellac them a little bit. But Vandy's, they're turning it around. Like Joe said, Clark Lee's turning it around. Got some quality recruits coming in from Tennessee. So, yeah, I'm going big. I think they're going to cover. I think that it's going to be over 55.5.
Love it. Joe, I'm sorry if I cut you off. Did you mean to say something?
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with you, Justin. Just sending all of our prayers and thoughts to the people of Hawaii.
Definitely.
Yes, you guys have been through a lot. We're sending all of our love to the islands out there. Moving right along here, now it gets very exciting. We've got San Jose State against the reigning runner-ups of the Pac-12, USC, and the Caleb Williams Heisman winner. We have 30.5 point favorite over here for USC. Over under 64.5. USC is a minus 9,000 favorite, and San Jose State is a plus 2,500 money line bet. Russ, we're going to start with you. I know you're the farthest from California, so tell us about this.
30.5 is a lot of points, Justin. A lot of points. But I can't bring myself physically to taking San Jose State to cover. So let's just go with USC, putting up big numbers, and we'll go them covering. And what's the over there? We'll go with the over too. Might as well.
That's a good pick. Pete.
Yeah, it's going to be a gorgeous sunny day in Los Angeles, high 70s, maybe low 80s. Lincoln Riles coming out to start the Coach of the Year campaign. Caleb Williams trying to go back-to-back Heisman. They're going to dominate them. They're going to beat them by 45. I am taking USC every which way. I'm not a USC guy, but they're just going to get it done, So USC money line, USC spread, and then the over for sure. They're going to beat the dog crap out of them every which way possible. They're going to start the season basically showcasing what they're going to do the rest of the season, and it's kind of a cupcake opening week. So,
Joe, technically you are a USC guy, but you're a Notre Dame fan at heart. We'll get to that next, but before that, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, shout out Masters class of SC 18. Fight on. This is an easy one. SC is just gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if they break the spread by halftime. Caleb Williams, he's gonna go for what only Herschel did, if I'm correct. 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. We'll see, but this is where it starts, and I think they're gonna it's not even gonna be close. So I'm going to go with the spread. I'm going to take the over. Just for fun, I'm going to put it on the money line. That 9,000 is almost a joke.
He's playing with that big money.
Exactly. Teacher salary,
Yeah.
Shout out to all the hardworking teachers out there who need to be making bets like this in order to pay the bills.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard work. It's hard work.
Yes, they don't make the amount that they're supposed to with all the work they do.
It's a calling, definitely. That's for sure.
So for my pick here, I think everybody's pretty much echoed what I'm going to say here. Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley equals offense, 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 points, 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 scoring, 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 explosiveness, explosiveness, explosiveness. This will not be any contest. I'll take USC with that minus 9,000 money line. I'll take them to cover, and I'll take the over-under being the over. But I don't trust Alex Grinch is the only thing, their defensive coordinator. And we saw that evidently all throughout last season, and especially in the bowl game where they blew it to Tulane. More on that later. Because now we're going to go into our predictions after the most important game of the week here. Because I know that we have two big-time Notre Dame fans right here on this call, being Pete and Joe. Navy at Notre Dame. Game is in Dublin, Ireland. Good buddy of mine, South Bay legend Dan O'Carter, is there for his honeymoon right now going to the game. So, that being said, we have a money line here of minus 1,350 for Notre Dame, plus 800 for Navy. Over under here, 50.5. And Notre Dame spread is minus 20.5. We'll let the Notre Dame guys talk last here. So, Russ, you and I will go first. Go for it.
Sounds good. Thanks, Justin. So I'm going to stay away from the spread. That I won't be playing that, but I'm going to give my opinion after this. I'm going to take that 13. I'm going to take Notre Dame to win outright. I'm going to take the under. I think it's going to be a dogfight. Now, I do think Navy's going to cover.
All
But
right.
I'm playing the money line and the under.
Mm-hmm.
I'm betting on Marcus Freeman. I'm betting on a dogfight, nasty game. Never know what the weather is in Ireland out there in Dublin. So, that's the type of game Marcus Freeman probably wants.
Oh, wow. That is very bold, but it also makes sense because you see Navy with the triple option, as all the service academies use. It's tough to score points on something like that, even if you're Sam Hartman, who literally has arm of God, it seems. You saw his numbers at Wake Forest every week. It was video game numbers. And we'll get into more of that in just a minute here. But in terms of this game here, I do believe Notre Dame will win. I'll take the money line there, even though it's not much of a winner here. I will also go with the under here because it's just going to be tough going on that 8-10 hour flight all the way to Dublin. And then you got to play Navy, which is all hard-nosed defense, run triple option. It is a relatively newer team here with Notre Dame. So I'll go with you there, Russ. I think that's a good point. And now I'll let Joe start here to roast both of us.
Oh, man. Notre Dame is a tough one to bet on. I struggle every week, but I have faith in Marcus Freeman. I have faith that we found our quarterback this year. Sam Hartman, as you said, Justin, Wake Forest, and it's Wake Forest, and he was putting up those numbers. I trust that the offense is going to move behind him. So I'm going to take the money line. I'm going to take the over because I think Notre Dame's going to put up some points with their new OC as well. And I'm going to stay away, though, from the spread. I think 20.5 is going to be close. I think Navy has a new coach. They're talking about playing two quarterbacks against Notre Dame, as well as I was just checking the forecast. It may be raining in Dublin, so you never know. But I know Notre Dame's going to put up some points. So I'm taking the over, and I'm taking money line Notre Dame.
Joe, I'm a little disappointed because I was expected to be roasted by you for not giving Notre Dame that much credit, but I know Pete won't let me down here.
No. I might put the mute button on now for Pete. Just take the headphones out.
Well, this looks to be a good game. No, it's going to be a great game. Gruesome twosome. Notre Dame, we got Sam Hartman, Marcus Freeman, new offensive coordinator, Gerard Parker. They're going to dominate in Ireland. That's what Notre Dame does. That's who Notre Dame is. We are Ireland. That's us. The weather says 65. That's going to be the total points amount. I'm taking the over, going to score 65 points. It's going to be like 40-something to 20-something. Two quarterbacks, be damned. It doesn't matter. We're going to dominate. Notre Dame to over, Notre Dame to cover, Notre Dame money line. We're going to channel our inner Irish, and we're going to destroy, dude. That's what we do. And especially being in Ireland, that's what's going to happen, man. You can't write a script like this, you know? And we're in Hollywood. You can't write it. So I'm taking everything Notre Dame here. The three-headed monster of our quarterback, offensive coordinator, and Marcus Freeman just going to dominate, dude. Let's go. Let's go, baby.
And one other thing, if I remember correctly, the last time Notre Dame was in Ireland playing Navy, 2012, when Notre Dame made the national championship. Just throwing out that fun fact.
I mean, you're adding to the script here, Joe. I think it's being written. It's being etched in stone over there. It's gonna happen.
What happened in that championship game too?
It doesn't matter. We at least made it. When did Arizona make the national championship?
We also had a quarterback that was better at running than throwing. It's opposite this time, man. So watch out.
That is true. You guys had Everett Golson back in the day.
Notre Dame legend.
Notre Dame legend and Florida State legend, I guess, if you want to throw that in there. Oh, man. Well, we have made it through the parlay picks. Be on the lookout to see how we do this week. But now we're going into our predictions for this season.
Side note, I'm not betting on any of these games. I'm in Florida. It's not legal. So, the picks, my picks might land. If I'm betting on them, go against me.
All right. Yep. See, be like Russ. Look at your state's local laws. Don't just go out there and do something that's not legal. All right. All right. You watching? I know. I'm talking to you. Don't do anything stupid. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, we're going into our predictions for the season. And for this, we're going to welcome in our special guest of the week, a man who has done so much, not just for this show getting started here, but so much for this network. The founder, the creator. We're going to ask him to hop on camera if he can here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and anything in between, Mr. Bobby Melendez himself, Bobby Finstall. Welcome in.
Yeah.
What's up, fellas? What's up? Let me see if I can fix it for.
It's like a voice of God. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
I know. Got so much going on, but man, let me tell you. First off, great show so far. I'm so excited to have you guys all on. Talk college football. We talk usually pro football on the network. Now we got college football, so I'm so excited. And of course, we got two big Notre Dame guys here, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. Hopefully, they do good this year, because if they don't, it's gonna be a long season, I think. But let's get rolling on these predictions.
Let's go.
Absolutely, and thank you for having us. Thank you for all you do. We're really excited to be here at Fins Talk Sports Network. Be sure to tune in every week for some of the best hot takes, savageness, and maybe just a little advice on who to pick for your end of season predictions. And for me, we're going to start with the sleeper team of the year. We just gave this team a bunch of love, a bunch of questions, but I'm going to go with Notre Dame as our sleeper pick here. Let's think about this. I was mentioning how Sam Hartman was the guy at Wake Forest putting up those video game numbers every single week. I think he's got a chance to be the best Notre Dame quarterback since Brady Quinn. I'll throw that out there. Maybe Joe Montana, but I'm not going to go that crazy just yet. We'll see how he does week one. So starting off with that, Notre Dame, the sky's the limit. If they can get past Ohio State, that'll be the big test. I know that's coming relatively early, but I cannot wait to see what he can do, Sam Hartman, on national TV week in and week out on NBC, so the whole world can see this guy is going to be a star at the next level. Let's move on down the list here. Joe.
So I have two for you. One that's could make the college playoff, and one that's not. My first one is Duke. Yes. Not the basketball team, the football team. Now, here's why.
My goodness.
First and foremost. Exactly. Shocking. I know. But here's why. First and foremost, their head coach, Mike Elko. Again, another former Notre Dame DC, but that's not why I'm picking him. He, first year at Duke, his record against a pretty decent ACC last year, 9-4. He's bringing back a ton of players from last year. He's bringing in some transfers as well. I can see them making a splash in the ACC, but I think that's Clemson or Florida State. We'll see. But the real team that I think could make some waves for the college football playoff, Kansas State. I know, another weird one, but
Big
a
12
little
champions.
bird is telling me, everyone's saying, oh, Texas is back. Texas is back. I hear it every year, and they're not back yet. So I'm saying Kansas State may make some waves. They don't play Oklahoma this year. They have a big game at Austin late in November. Other than that, I think it'll be a cakewalk for Kansas State. If they can beat Texas, I think they're going undefeated potentially, unless there's that sleeper game that upsets them. We'll see.
Do they play Oklahoma this year? I forgot. Did you say that?
They do not play Oklahoma. They just play Texas.
Because Oklahoma is always that team you got to watch out for, no matter how good or bad they've been. Last year, they were more bad than good.
Absolutely. I mean, they play Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State, but who knows how Oklahoma State's going to be this year. I think Kansas State is the team to beat in the Big 12.
Love it, Joe. Welcome to the show. And now, Russ, your turn.
All right, nice picks, Joe. Kind of what I went two ways on this. I did my homework, so I got 3 sleeper teams that are going to make a little splash, and I got 2 teams that might make the playoffs. So I'm going to kick it off with I think South Carolina is going to make a little splash. Spencer Rattler, Beaver Ball, a nice little transfer. The returning Juice Wells Jr. Went for 928, 6 touchdowns. I'm going with Wisconsin. Tanner Mordecai transferring in. They got 2 transfers, one from Oklahoma State, one from SC. I think Luke Fickle is going to do some stuff in the Big Ten. And then my last one is going to be Oregon State. So I think this is going to be Oregon State's audition year. Who's going to want him? They got DJ. I don't even dare say his last name because I'll mess it up. New stadium. They were 9-4 last year. So I think they're going to make a little noise. And then my 2 sleeper teams will be Washington. Think of Michael Penix, second in the NCAA in throwing yards. I think Washington's going to make some noise. And then the next one I got Tennessee. Joe Milton's got a howitzer for an arm. The man's got a cannon. Bringing back Brew McCoy, who stepped up big when Cedric Tillman went down, returned in all 3 of the running backs. I think they could make some noise.
Damn, Russ, you're running a daycare with all these sleepers here.
Yeah.
Pete, let's go with you. What you got for us?
Well, people are sleeping on them, but I'm not. Notre Dame, as I talked about earlier, they are my sleeper team. I think they really have a shot this year. I mean, we play USC at home. Obviously, we play Ohio State. It's definitely not an easy schedule, but I think that we can do it. And I think Tommy Rees left. He's at Alabama. He took one of our quarterbacks. There's all these other little storylines going on. Not a whole lot of people know our offensive coordinator right now. He's also our tight ends coach. I think we're going to be very good. And I think Marcus Freeman in his 3rd season right here is going to come out. He's going to start balling. The 2nd season, going to come out and start really learning how to win games because he's lost a lot of games that you just think to yourself, he just needs more experience. So I think of that along with having an experienced quarterback in Hartman, we're going to be very good. So I'm not sleeping on him, but everyone else is. And then the other one I had, just because I slept on him last year, Tennessee, man, Milton, going to dominate again, I think. They really have a shot, I think, making the college football playoff, depending on how it all shakes out. So it's definitely Notre Dame, and I'm kind of leaning towards Tennessee.
Speaking of Tennessee, we have a Tennessee resident here on our show, Bobby Finstock, coming to us from Franklin. Bobby, let's hear your sleeper.
Yeah, so I had one sleeper, but I'll add a second one, and this full disclosure here, I'm not as deep into detail of college football as you guys are. I'm more pro. When it comes draft time, I'm all for it. So it's my first time really getting into college football in regards of really going in. But Tennessee is my first pick. Tennessee, averaged about 46 points. They led the nation last year. Josh Heupel's in his 3rd year. I'm very intrigued by Joe Milton. So that's my number one sleeper team, who I think has a huge potential to make the college football playoff. My second team, I would have to go with North Carolina with Drake May. I'm going to roll with those guys. Those are my 2 sleeper teams for this season. Not as detailed, but straight to the point.
Get out to Neyland there, Bobby. Get out to Neyland. It's
been there one time, and it's amazing. When I came up from Florida, my the owner of my company got tickets. He's a season ticket holder, and he gave me into his booth, and it was one of the best experiences. Nothing compares to college football.
It's massive. It is huge.
College football in
Dude.
the South is another animal.
Yeah, for sure.
And I got to give credit to the Tennessee Volunteers. First off, shout out to former UCF AD Danny White and former UCF head coach Josh Heupel for running the show there. We remember a couple years ago, even just a year ago, Joe Milton was the starter to start the season. By the way, when Josh Heupel has a Milton at quarterback, you could expect good things. We're talking Mackenzie Milton. Now we're talking Joe Milton. And then he got hurt, so he cheated on him with a hooker for a little while, that being Hendon Hooker. And then he got hurt. Joe Milton's back. They won the Orange Bowl very convincingly over Clemson. With just another year of recruiting under Heupel's belt, we could see if they can take the next step and make the playoff. But it's not going to be easy. They're still in the same division with Georgia. Kirby is still running the show there.
They got to split it between Alabama and Georgia. They need to get one and beat Florida.
Yeah, that's right. Big rivalry with Florida. Can't forget that. But Florida's not been good recently. But we were just talking about the Swamp documentary. I haven't heard much about it until a couple of minutes ago, but I'm really excited to watch this. I thought they were going to get a 30 for 30 during Urban Meyer's run.
It's fantastic. Honestly, I only watched the first episode. I was already like the early 2000s to like 2013, 14. I'm just mind blown. You had Johnny Football, you had Florida, you had Manti Te'o and all that. Just what was going on in college
football. Is it on Netflix?
Yes, it is.
Oh, man. Netflix has done great with those documentaries. The Redeem Team, was it The Last Dance? I mean, it's just the stuff they've been putting out in regards to sports documentaries have been second to none.
I did watch the Johnny Football one recently. That was very, very good. Yep. Now going forward here, we've got our Coach of the Year predictions. So we're going to bounce around here, not go in the same order. I'll start with Pete this time.
Well, basically it's Marcus Freeman because Notre Dame's going to dominate. I think he's going to get Coach of the Year. I think he's going to come out. It's not an easy schedule. We got a chance to run the table. Got to win, of course, some very hard games. But we got a little favorable based on where we're playing. As mentioned, his second season under his belt. I really think he's going to take a jump here. So I think Marcus Freeman's my Coach of the Year. I don't think I know. And if I had to go a second route, I think probably Lincoln Riley because I think he's coming in and he's going to dominate on the West Coast. So those are my two, but I'm leaning more towards Marcus Freeman.
Okay, well, we got a homer, but then we've got some love to local legend Lincoln Riley over here. Let's see what he can do with another year under his belt on the West Coast. Joe, let's hear from you now.
Ooh, that was my struggle. I didn't want to sound too much like a homer, but I also have Marcus Freeman. I think he's going to learn or has learned so much from that first season. He's not going to lose that game against Marshall this year, even though we don't play Marshall, but you get the point. You're not going to lose to a terrible Stanford team at home this year. We have the big three. You have Ohio State, USC, both at home, and then you have to go to Clemson in November. 3 tough games, but I think, again, they look good. You have Sam Hartman, who has played Clemson multiple times, put up big numbers against Clemson by himself, essentially. I think if they just take a little step forward, and with Sam Hartman, he will be the Coach of the Year. But I also just, not to sound too much like a Notre Dame homer, I also took Mike Norvell from FSU. That organization, that team was in shambles, just atrocious after, Jameis Winston and all that stuff went down. He's really building a powerhouse again in FSU. I think Miami's going to be good in the next couple of years. I think Florida could be good. Look out, Florida football may be back, honestly. I mean, if it ever was gone, but I think it could be boom up at the top. So I think Mike Norvell could be that other Coach of the Year.
I'll admit Florida is signing a good class next year. I don't know about Billy Napier yet. I'm just still very iffy. But my favorite thing about Mike Norvell, this is me being a homer, his 0-3 record against UCF. when he was at Memphis.
I don't think they play. I don't think FSU plays them this year, though, right?
No, FSU does not. But I also love that as soon as UCF, it was announced that they're making more money than Florida State on the new TV deal, FSU got all up in their feels. You love to see it. You love to see another in-state rival just feeling a little insecure there. Russ, go for it.
So I'm going to go with Dabo Sweeney. We'll get into that later. I'm going to go with Dabo.
Pete is booing the hell out of you right now silently.
And that's fine, Pete. And then my other pick is going to be Luke Fickell. I think he's going to be right there to win the Big Ten West. Going to be right there.
Oh, solid pick. Luke Fickell was really, really good at Cincinnati. Now he's got the Big Ten budget in his back pocket, seeing what he could do there. And it'd be great to see Wisconsin actually take the next step. They've always been so good, never quite just getting over the Ohio State or the Michigan or Penn State hump at the very end. So we'll see what he can do over there. Bobby, go for it.
Yeah, and I just want to apologize ahead of time for everyone who's tuning in. You know, whatever time we watch this, or if you're listening to it, if you hear a baby in the background, that's my youngest there screaming. So I apologize. But for me, I'm gonna go. It's gonna sound easy now because I'm gonna roll with Lincoln Riley from Southern Cal, and what you guys were bringing up earlier when you were talking about when you're going through the parlays. You know, I think that some people are kind of sleeping on him. You know, but you got Caleb Williams, who could be the number 1 overall pick if he declares at the end of this year. I kind of like what he said, though. He's like, I'm going to watch for it first. I'm going to see who has the number 1 pick for actually declare for it. I love that he put that out there. He's not just kind of playing it out. He's kind of – I like what he did. But I'm going to roll with Lincoln Riley for out of Southern Cal to be coach of the year this year. I think, you know, and I think they have a very strong chance to make the playoffs.
Hey, very solid pick. You and P both feeling the sentiment there. I don't know if you guys can hear the music just got way louder here. So hopefully you can still hear me all right. Can you hear me all right?
We hear you
good. Yeah, you're
man.
good, Justin.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We're being rocked like a hurricane. I'm not ready to pick Mario Cristobal of the Hurricanes as the next head coach of the year. But I'll go a little bold here, and I'll say Deion Sanders, prime time coach of the year. First year, a little crazy. Pac-12 being what it is, very competitive. But let me just riddle you this here. Every time that Deion talked trash in the NFL or talked trash in the MLB, name me one time that he didn't back it up. One time. No, every single time. He made sure that he walked the talk, and he always said, hey, I got you. You're going down. And then he'll get the interception. He'll run it back 100 yards.
We'll get it inside the park home run.
Why not be as a head coach too? Why not just swing for the fences, be bold, bring in your Louis Vuitton stuff, your Louis Vuitton quality players, I should say, all from the transfer portal, and then go out there and just win the Pac-12 because there's only one way to go, and that's up at Colorado. They won 1-2 games last year. So I'm going to go swing for the fences here. I know I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'll go down swinging with Deion.
He's going to at least be coach of the year in terms of entertainment on and off the field. I can't wait to watch every game, which I don't think I've ever said that in Colorado's, the entire time I've been alive about Colorado football.
And especially in a year, this is our first season, not to get a little solemn here, but this is our first full season without Mike Leach. He passed away at the end of the year. He gave the best pressers, the best interviews. He always had the entertainment just up his sleeve, the next great thing to say, the next great quote. Maybe Deion could carry on his legacy in that way. Nobody will ever replace Mike Leach in the way that he was a coach, in the way that he was a great entertainer, a great leader of young men. But Deion can always provide good headlines, good entertainment, and I look forward to that. Rest in peace, Coach Leach.
I think at least I can speak for myself, Justin, Joe, and Pete. We're molding ourselves after Mike Leach, preparing for marriage. We're working late. That's where he wants you to be. He wants you to be late working in the office if you're married.
Absolutely, Russ. Very well said. Now, next up over here, here's where the fun begins. The Heisman Trophy. So now we're going to start here with Bobby. Go ahead.
Dang, rank me over the coals pretty quick. Throw me in the fire.
Dang,
You know,
Bobby.
I'm going with Michael Penix Jr. I'm gonna roll with him, quarterback. Last year, big year, 4,600 yards, 31 touchdowns. Gets both his wide receivers back. I didn't see his name a lot for most people, but I'm just very excited to see what he can do this season, and I think he has a strong chance as a Heisman candidate. So yeah, he's my pick for this year. Call it a sleeper if you want.
Love it. Michael Penix has got an arm. He's a gunslinger. He had some accuracy issues early in his career when he was at Indiana, but he was still carrying that team to a record that they hadn't seen in maybe a long time. And being at Washington, he instantly elevated that program. So I think that's a great pick there. Let's go with Russ.
All right, thanks for stealing my thunder there, Bobby. I'm going Michael Penix Jr. too. All right, the guy, 4,600 yards, 31 touchdowns, did have 8 interceptions. He's getting his, Rome O'Dune's coming back, preseason All-American. There's going to be a lot of exciting stuff going up in Seattle this year. So I like the pick. I'm on Michael Penix to bring it home in New York this year.
All right, so we've got a couple echoes from Michael Penix. Joe, let's hear from you.
So I have two. I have the safe bet, I would say. Maybe some would disagree with me. I'm going to go, obviously, with the current Heisman Trophy winner and Caleb Williams. He's just the dude. Like, he can just rewatch that Notre Dame game last year. He should have been sacked 4 times in multiple plays, and he gets out of the pocket, hits a guy wide open for 20 yards. I think he's going to do more of that. And I think with another year under his belt, he's going to be even better. So it's like, who's going to top that? But then also, again, I have to be the homer. I think if what we're saying is true and hoping as Notre Dame fans, Sam Hartman's at least going to be in New York on that day. And, if he is there and he holds that trophy, I see Notre Dame being in the college football playoff as well as probably in the national championship.
2 very safe picks there. Pete, you want to go a little bold? You're muted.
Sorry about that. Mine are kind of safe as well. I took Caleb Williams just because I think he's got a really good shot to go back-to-back. I mean, back-to-back Heisman's would be an amazing accomplishment. Now, I do think that Sam Hartman, as Joe mentioned, obviously I'm hoping and praying that this is the case, but he had very similar numbers, maybe not necessarily the yardage that Williams had, but he only had 4 less touchdowns. So, and he was playing in the ACC, which was pretty darn good last year. So I think Sam Hartman could potentially get up there, but I think Caleb Williams probably has the easiest path because he's already walked down the road, baby. He already knows how to get there. He just has to go do it again and potentially do a little bit better. So Caleb Williams is my number 1 with Sam Hartman kind of sneaking in the back door maybe.
I love it. And I don't know if I'm going to play this as I'm going to pick one guy, but I'll go ahead and say this. I think I'm going to be bold here and predict that every single person that we said winning the Heisman will be in New York City for that finalist, for the final count. I'll go ahead and say that. But I do think that Sam Hartman has the best chance of any Notre Dame player since Manti Te'o, who made it there in 2013. So I'm very excited for the first time in a long time to watch Notre Dame. I mean, seeing them is the team that just was the big-time, legendary football program. They've fallen on times with Brian Kelly where they made the playoff, they made the championship game, but they couldn't make it any further than just that. They couldn't take home the hardware. This time, I think they have a legitimate chance with a really good quarterback. So Sam Hartman, he's got some flowers from me already. He'll get more from me throughout the season if he plays like he did at Wake Forest. And going forward, we have our final predictions here, the college football playoff. And I've got to say, looking at the sheet, we are very diverse across the board, and I love that. That's what the show is all about. We're going to start here with Pete.
Yeah, so of course I have Notre Dame in there. And I have Notre Dame 1, USC 2, Georgia 3, and Michigan 4. I'll just say a little bit about my Michigan pick. Their schedule's pretty darn easy. I kind of don't necessarily want them to make it. I'm kind of hoping for 2 SEC schools. Tennessee, Georgia, I think have the best shot to get in. And then USC, Notre Dame, they both play each other, obviously. So I'm hoping that it's an amazing game, and then both teams win the rest of the schedule. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But I got Notre Dame, USC, and then Georgia, and I'm actually going to take Michigan out of there. I'm going to put Tennessee.
Solid. Love it. Across the board. Bobby.
Yeah, so I kind of spoiled it a little bit. I'll just go with, obviously I'm going with Tennessee this year. I think they could make it this year. I like, again, Joe Milton. I think I'm excited about their roster, and just because I'm in Tennessee, I'm not like a Tennessee Vol fan, but I have been watching them obviously closely the past few years, but I really like what they're going to do this year, or what I think they're going to do. Southern Cal, USC, I believe is going to get in there. Then I'm going to roll with Ohio State and Georgia. I know they lost their quarterbacks, but again, Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jack Sawyer, they still got so much talent. Brock Bowers, the tight end, so much talent on that roster. I mean, that's Georgia, but that I just think they're going to overcome it. And again, I believe Georgia's going to make it as well.
Love it. Very solid picks across the board. Once again, Joe, let's hear from you.
I have no real particular order. I know that 3 of my teams that I've selected are going to be playing each other to some extent. So I have Ohio State. I don't think they're losing to the Wolverines 3 years in a row. I know it's in Ann Arbor, but that is a rivalry that I know very well. And Ohio State fans are not going to like it if they lose 3 years in a row. Ryan Day may be on the hot seat if they do lose 3 times in a row to Michigan. And again, I think they have also potential Heisman Trophy candidate in Marvin Harrison Jr. at wide receiver. It just depends on who the quarterback is. I have SC, Caleb Williams, obviously, and Lincoln Riley. My surprise, I have Alabama. I am trusting Nick Saban to get the job done this year. I think, he has a standard. He has a bar that was not reached and has not been reached in a couple of years, I feel like, especially with some great quarterbacks. I think with Tommy Rees as the OC, I think they'll run the ball more. I think they'll play better defense. So, and besides, I don't think Georgia's going to win the national championship. What is it, 3 years in a row if they do it? So I'm going Alabama. And then I have Notre Dame if Sam Hartman, Marcus Freeman, and that team that I think they can be will be in there as well.
Love it, Joe. Russ, we are running out of time a little bit, so give us the quick rundown.
All right, so I got Michigan. Michigan, UGA's got Georgia. They got a cupcake schedule. Brock Bowers. Hey, Brock Bowers could be in New York at the end of the year. There. What is he? A tight end? I think he's kind of a hybrid. I got SC, Caleb Williams. You don't have to say much about that. And then I got Clemson. Garrett Riley's going to change that offense. All right. So that's who I'm going with.
Love it, Russ. Real quickly, I'll go through mine. Georgia's got a very easy schedule. Carson Beck, I'm not sold on yet. Let's see what he could do. But I think I'll go ahead and pencil them in for the SEC slot. Michigan also has a very easy schedule. They're not going to miss a beat with Jim Harbaugh gone. They'll come back. J.J. McCarthy gave us his word that he would be back. They would be back in the playoff. Okay, I'll take your word for it, JJ. Let's see how you do. I've got the surprise here, Washington coming out of the Pac-12. Like I said, I trust the offense. I don't trust the defense of USC. And I barely trust Lincoln Riley in little binds like Tulane last year. So I'll go with Michael Penix and the stats that he puts up. Kalen DeBoer, those guys up in Seattle. Let's go Huskies. And then lastly, I've got Clemson. I don't want to see Clemson back in there. I'd personally like to see 4 new teams here, but I'm going to go ahead and say they still are the team to beat in the ACC because they didn't lose an ACC game last year. They lost to Notre Dame and they lost to, Tennessee last year, which ultimately kept them out of the playoff. So in the end here, Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Clemson. And there you have it. We will update you on these picks. They will change weekly all this year. But before we wrap up the show today, first we want to thank Bobby, but we also want to remember. So Pete was with me last week in Arizona when this happened. Because our network is based out of Miami, and Miami means so much to me, I wanted to just give a little bit of moment of silence and a little bit of eulogy for a Miami legend that should never have been, and that is Lolita Tokite Scali. I'm going to butcher his name, and I apologize. Scalciali Tano. She was an orca whale that was in captivity at the Miami Aquarium for 53 years, and she passed away after 57 years of life, 53 of those in that little whale bowl in Miami. Forced to perform every single day of her life multiple times up until 2021 when the USDA came in and said, this is a condemned building, you can't operate here anymore, when they finally decided to retire her. Plans were revealed earlier this year to return her back to her home in the Salish Sea up in Washington State, where she was captured in 1970 when she was only 4 years old. Lolita meant so much to me and a lot of people all around the world. Her story was just unreal, coming from the waters all the way up there, going to Miami, and really just fighting through and being one of the longest tenured surviving orcas. And we all wanted to collectively see her freed. Jim Irsay pledged a lot of money, the owner of the Colts. We had the new owner of the Miami Aquarium on board, allegedly, but she died last Friday, of a renal failure after her health slowly, but then quickly started to decline. And Pete remembers I was about to bawl my eyes out, and even just talking about her and her legacy, I'm almost going to do it again. Lolita, you deserve so much better than the 53 years you lived in captivity. You deserve to swim free, but we hope that you can swim free finally with your ancestors up above. With that, we're going to take a short little moment of silence to remember her. We're a football show, but we're also a Miami show, and we're a show about humanity as well. Everybody here's got a great heart, a great soul. I love all these guys, and we all just send our love out to those who love Lolita and her soul. So let's take a quick moment. May her memory forever be a blessing. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Joe. Welcome to the show. Thank you, Pete. And thank you, Bobby, for joining us as our celebrity guest picker this week and for running the back end, doing everything you do for Finstock Sports Network. This is Touchdown in Paradise. I'm Justin.
I'm Russ.
I'm Pete.
And Joe, it looks like he's frozen over here, but he sends us regards. I know we can't hear him. We'll see you next week for some more hot takes, some great picks, and our picks for the end of the year. We'll see you next time here in Touchdown in Paradise.